Good morning from Torino. Maybe in the background, when we stay quiet a bit, you can hear the Greek song very silently on the background because the Spanish crew is here, very close to our apartment in Italy, and they are playing many Eurovision songs of this year to get into the mood. Well, we're going to get in the mood as well for the second semi-final of Eurovision 2022. Erik Bolk, Stefan Gorkum, good morning to the both of you. Yesterday we didn't make a podcast because I was in the talk show as well. We talked about the first semi-final and all the things that happened there. Not many big surprises in my opinion in that first semi, Erik. One, do you agree? And two, do you think that will be the case again in semi 2?
I think in semi 2 we'll have a few surprises. In semi 1, actually the only surprise was, well, prediction-wise, was the shocking, not shocking, outfall of Albania. But not that shocking in semi 1, no.
Yeah, how did you asked the questions in the talk show, of course, so you didn't answer them yourself, Steve. What was your feeling about the first semi-final and how things wrapped up?
Yeah, I mean, bookies had 8 out of 10. They had Albania and they had Austria. For me, neither one was that surprising that they didn't qualify. Austria not at all, because we predicted them to be very, very low in the jury vote in our jury, vocal assessment blog. Albania was probably also low in the jury vote. I still thought maybe with the big televote they can just sneak through. In the end, they didn't, but. They were not large surprises for me, no.
Let's look at the second semi-final and the jury. So you talk about the vocal assessments of semi-final 1. We made such an article again about the second semi-final. What stood out for you?
Well, I started to realize during that show even more that Azerbaijan... I mean, I had made the call before during the week that was maybe an entry for juries. But when I was watching it, listening to it last night, I started to realize that, hey... He's singing while he's lying on his back. He's singing while he's lying on his side. He's doing these vocal tricks almost that we know from our model that juries will notice and reward. And on top of that, it's a song with very strong vocals. It's the type of song that doesn't really make that big of an emotional connection, which is why many people have it as a borderline qualifier. But juries don't vote so much based on their emotions, they vote more rationally. So it has a lot of things going for it to make it a jury-friendly song.
We said also in that blog, Erik, that Poland and Sweden, either one of those may very well have won the jury vote. Actually, we believe one of them won the jury vote. How do you stand in that?
I agree. And if I might, let's make a statement. I think Poland won the jury vote. And Sweden came close second.
How's that? Because Sweden in the bookmakers list is more of a favorite overall, I must say. So why Poland over Sweden for you?
The focus of Poland were flawless, just like they were of Australia and Azerbaijan too. But I didn't sense that urge you need with a good vocalist with Sweden. There was some not connecting with me during the jury show finals.
Which nations were not playing their best game yesterday and have a problem and rely fully on the televote, in your opinion, Steve?
I mean, there's two very jury-unfriendly performances that we've seen last night. The two that may well have finished at the bottom. One is Georgia. That one was one that I could have seen coming even before their performance from last night, because the song is not that jury friendly and the performance definitely is not. It screams this so-called FOP effect that we discussed in our jury show blog, which is the effect where juries feel like maybe they're being fooled by something, maybe because this is kind of like a circus act. Their name is even Circus Mircus. The other one was Macedonia, simply because it may have been a jury-friendly song if the vocals had been good, but they were not. Actually, the opposite. That was one of the worst vocal performances that I've seen this week.
Yeah. You have many more acts in this semi-final that you could perceive as being jury-unfriendly. You mentioned Georgia. I think you can place San Marino, Israel, perhaps the Czech Republic in that list. But when you have that many jury-unfriendly songs, there are also some that will still get like 12th or 13th place because they can't rank them down all. So which of those And I mean it in a nice way. More trashy entries do you think has done best with the jury?
I think Czech Republic is an interesting one that you just mentioned because I don't think juries will necessarily see it as trash. It is a divisive genre that they have. That's the biggest problem for them. It's a genre that people either love or hate. That generally goes down well with televoters, not so much with juries. But in this case, because the vocals were not that bad, because the song is not that trashy or something that juries feel like this is beneath us in the current field, I still think that could very well have been maybe number 11 or 12 last night.
Do you expect, Eric, in this semi-final that there are big discrepancies between the results, the top 10 of the televotes tonight and the top 10 of the jury last night?
Yes, I think there will be a discrepancy between those votes for Azerbaijan, Australia, Czech Republic, and
Australia as well?
yeah, because why should one vote for this song?
And then you mean televoters?
The televote, yeah. I tried to figure out all the countries, would they vote or not for this country, like which 10 countries would they vote in the televote, and each time combining with the taste of the country I was relying on gut feeling, of course, just playing. And then all the time Australia didn't pop up. So it might be a song that's gotten forgotten.
Yeah, now that you say it, Australia has a history at the contest of doing well with the jury and not being able to connect with the televote. So could this be another example? I didn't really think of it now that Eric says it like this. How do you stand in this?
I do think it's more for juries. I don't expect a huge discrepancy because I think, especially if you compare it to the other male ballad from Azerbaijan that we already discussed, this song does make the emotional connection that televoters need. So I think it will pick up more points than Azerbaijan in the televote. And I think in the current field, it may even be top 10 with both, but more like, let's say, 3 or 4 with juries and then 8, 9 or 10 with televoters, something like this.
I think we mentioned most of the potential qualifiers, except for 2 perhaps that we didn't talk about, and that's Finland and Serbia. Let's start with Serbia, because it's a very interesting entry as well in the competition, because there's not really a precedent, not really any entry in the last couple of years that I can think of that I can compare it with, and that makes it so hard to place how it will do in either the jury vote or the televote. Do you have any thoughts about what kind of impact Serbia could make?
On first hand, I thought Serbia would have trouble to qualify, but when I was doing my math, my funny math, there's no science to it, just
just playing with numbers.
You're playing with numbers, yes. Number 22.
That's rich.
That's really rich, yes. And taking in account which countries are voting in this semi-final, I thought, okay, they will qualify through televote.
You say Serbia will qualify on behalf of a good televote.
Yeah, in jury vote they will be, I think, 9th, and on televote they will gain some points that will just lift them up in the top 10 generally.
Do you agree?
I agree with you more or less that it's a very difficult one to predict because all of our models that we've had over the years, all of our analysis, studies, statistics, they've all been based on precedents. Like this compares to this, how did it do, and then afterwards, after the result of this year's contest, we update all of those models as well. So it's an interesting one. It will give us new information on Monday, but to make a great prediction right now, for me, is very difficult on Serbia. I do think that it will go through this semi-final and qualify for the final, but that's also based on the entire field that it's in. And then the grand final will give us the most interesting insights.
And Finland, I also said we didn't talk about Finland yet. They were struggling with the vocals in all rehearsals, but you can also see their experience because now was the big night when they needed to stand there. And of course, he's not the best vocalist in the field, but this was by far their best and most professional performance thus far, right?
I agree, and I also think that came across not just in the vocals, which were pretty solid, but also in his stage presence and stage performance. And that is something that juries also reward. We call it, in our jury blog, we call it the Mons factor. I don't want to say that Laudy is as good as Mons was maybe, but if you look like
at professionalism.
Yes, if you look like you go around that stage and you own it, and juries look at it and see that you're comfortable there and that you're not going to make any mistakes. And I think that's the kind of vibe that he gave across. So I think think maybe earlier in the week when we heard his weaker morning vocals, we were having some doubts about his jury vote, but he was top 10 last night. I'm pretty confident about that.
Did I miss? Yeah, of course, I missed a couple of countries that you want to talk about. Estonia. What's your opinion on them?
I think it's an easy qualifier. What you see is a singer who is enjoying himself, and it's just one of the few who is enjoying himself on stage, because everybody is so serious and he is just walking around smiling. Maybe it's his natural expression, I don't know, but somehow it looks like he's really enjoying, and that is contagious, I think. And the song is really instant appeal, so it will do both. Juries give some points.
Yeah, even though I agree with you, but for the sake of discussion, there are quite a few parts of his song that he doesn't sing it. He puts his microphone towards the audience. Those are can be red flags for juries, right?
They can be, and then there's the country genre, which is something juries tend not to like. Also, the thing that Eric mentioned, the fact that he is enjoying himself on stage, that's definitely something for televoters, because they'll see him smiling, enjoying himself, and they'll like him and reward him for that. Juries, as I mentioned before, are more rational, so maybe this is one that I shifted upon, that before the contest maybe I thought it was more for juries, because I do think he is a good vocalist. He didn't show off everything that he's capable of last night. Now maybe I think it's more for televoters. In the end, I think it will be top 10 with both in this semi-final, and it will qualify.
So we're gonna see what things will look like when we get the results, when the envelopes, I'm still calling it like that, even though we're in a digital area for many years already, but I'm getting old as well. When the envelopes are being opened, we will see the 10 qualifiers. We will see how right we are in our predictions. Join us as well on ESC Daily and leave your production in our contest, which is fun. Where are you ranked right now in your predictions, Eric?
What do you mean?
Where are you? Where are you now?
I'm here, dummy.
No, how are you? What's your rank in the prediction pool? How did you do?
I don't know. I had 8.
I don't know.
I had 8 out of 10, and I'm satisfied with that. So now I'm going with a few random guesses within it. So maybe I can catch up.
Okay, what's that in Italian to wrap things up? To place some random guesses in your prediction pool. Good luck.
Non so toto, tutti.